gentlemen, you are warmly welcome for the final workshop of updating the technical guideline for irrigation works of the Irrigation Department. The Irrigation Department, established in 15th May 1990, claims its 122 years of historical inheritance. In the attempt of fulfilling the historical excerpt, not to let a drop of rainwater flow into the sea without first being used of the welfare at livelihood by the great King Parakumba, providing the utmost service to the farmers by fulfilling irrigation water requirement through the construction, operation and maintenance of reservoirs, canal and other irrigation infrastructure, managing and improving irrigation water resources, conducting researches on hydrology, geology and other irrigation engineering trades. I warmly welcome Additional Director General of Irrigation, Engineer Janaki Megasthana, to welcome the gathering and to explain the objectives of the workshop.
Good morning, Director General Sir, Dr. Ranendra Ponraja and Miss Ponraja, Engineer Madhusudanan Sir, Madam Kamaladasa and team of consultants, Engineer Palitha Manchanayaka, Project Director Climate Resilience Improvement Water Management Project, Vagambu Budua Project, Engineer Chandan Edirisuriya, joined from Zoom, Additional Secretary Ministry of Irrigation, Engineer Vasanta Palugassava, and all the representatives from Ministry, UNDP Engineer Ashoka Ajanta and others, representatives from Irrigation Department, Mahavali Authority of Sri Lanka, Provincial Irrigation Department, Department of Agrarian Development, Water Resources Board, Infotech Ideas, and those who have joined us online and all others. It is my great pleasure and honor to welcome you all for this great occasion of the publication of the updated technical guidelines for irrigation works prepared by the late engineer A.J. Ponraja. I warmly welcome you, DGI sir, Dr. Ponraja from Canada, and Madam Ponraja from Australia, Madam Kamaladasa and team, including Ratnayaka sir, Shanmuga Sivanandan sir, Imbulana madam, Gamage sir, and all other representatives from the consultancy team, and Engineer Palitha Manchanayaka sir, Project Director Chandan Edirisuriya, UNDP Engineer Ashoka Ajanta and Nimbulana sir, then all the representatives from Irrigation Department, Ministry of Irrigation, including Additional Secretary, Director Water Resources Planning, Additional Director Generals, Directors from Head Office and the regions, Mechanical Directors from Head Office and regions, Zonal Directors from regions, Chief Engineers, Divisional Irrigation Engineers, Mechanical Engineers, Irrigation Engineers, Earth Resources Engineers from the Irrigation Department, and Mahavali Authority, Provincial Irrigation Department, Engineer Prema Kumara, and all other representatives from Provincial Irrigation Department, DAD, Department of Agrarian Development, including Engineer Prabhat Vitarna, Water Resources Board, Infotech Ideas, Engineer N.A. Sisirakumara, Tilini and Kalpani, and all others. Irrigation engineers have always used their best practices along with the knowledge and solid judgment they have gained from their hard work. These practices and guidelines were used in planning, development, management, and conservation of water resources of the country. The enormous contribution of Engineer Ponraja to the irrigation engineering in Sri Lanka is significant and unequal. He has worked across the nation since 1951 when he joined the Irrigation Department. When overseeing the engineering designs of the Irrigation Department, He prepared a series of technical notes and guidelines to improve engineering standard. Undoubtedly, undoubtedly the knowledge and experience gained by the irrigation department since its establishment in year 19,000 uh, in year 1090 900 may have contributed to the excellence of these documents. These documents were later compiled and gaps remaining were filled by the late engineer Ponraja while preparing the set of guidelines currently being used in irrigation department, universities and other parallel departments. Subsequently, these documents were compiled and published by the Irrigation Department in 1988 as a single volume titled Irrigation Guidelines for Irrigation Works. These requirement of updating the technical guideline for irrigation department was discussed last decade, but it was considered a challenging task. Our DG took this challenge and with support from the UNDP, Vaugampupuduwa project, and to update this technical guideline so that they could be used in the modern era as well. In this process, inception workshop, review meetings and a validation workshop were conducted, and the final review was done by the external reviewers, Additional Director General Investigation Planning, Design and her specialized branches, zonal directors, Additional Director General System Management, Riverine Management and Construction Development with their sub-departments. All their efforts combined created these 7 volumes of the updated guideline prepared by the consultancy team appointed by the Infotech Ideas with the team leader, Engineer Madam Kamaladasa, that we have with us today. I sincerely hope that this updated guidelines for irrigation works would serve as a valuable reference source for the engineering professionals who are engaged in the planning, development and management of irrigation and water resources development activities. Furthermore, I would like to say that these guidelines can be considered as another valuable milestone of the irrigation department's journey. Lastly, before ending my welcome speech, I would like to humbly salute the late engineer Ponraja with pride for his significant contribution to the fields of irrigation department and engineering, and thank you all for the joining this valuable occasion.
Thank you very much, madam. During this exercise, there were numerous assistances given by different organizations. The United Nations Development Program engaged a team of subject matter specialists to update the guidelines as a component of their technical support to the climate resilient integrated water management project. Therefore, firstly, I think it is better to have the views of the CRIWM project. I think Engineer Chandana Edirisuriya, the project director of the CRIWMP, is there with us in online platform. Yes. Engineer Chandana Edirisuriya, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And as updating of the technical guideline for irrigation works is an important contribution to the development activities in the irrigation sector. We are facing many challenges in the climate change. It is necessary to have resilient structures using the modern technology. So, in the developing this guideline, that is also milestone as outdoor project together with the UNDP and the appreciate support. We are we have supported to this project. If we mention that all team members, especially led by the Mrs. Madra Kamaladasa Madam and Mr. Ibulana, so we really appreciate all the supports given to achieve this milestone. So we can really mention that together everyone can achieve more as a team. If we quoted that great things in business are never done by the one person, they are done by the team of people. So this is a good example for that. So I would like to mention that as a welcome to the project, we will support to the print this guideline too. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Chandan Idirusuriya, the project director of CRIW MP project. And as per the agenda, let's move to the views by the UNDP, the United Nations Development Program. I warmly welcome Engineer Ashoka Ajantha to share your views of the UNDP project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone again. Director General of Irrigations and other guests. First, actually, I would like to thank on behalf of UNDP inviting us for this very important event at the time of need of the country, as well as actually Irrigation Department, Infotech Ideas. This is kind of partnerships, actually, private-public partnerships. Almost 5-6 organizations work together to make this success. So that's the beauty of this exercise, actually. My special thanks to Infotech because they make my life easier during the contract period. Almost zero hassle during that period. And special thanks to Mr. Imbulan as well, who almost done a very excellent job with the Infotech team. So actually, UNDP is very pleased to be part of this timely improvements to the irrigation guidelines, which has addressed the climate change adaptation requirements. So with these improvements, we trust that the vital irrigation infrastructures are more resilient to extreme weather events such as flash floods. So another key requirements of the nations at the moment is actually cascade development guidelines. There are many agencies are involved in cascade development without proper integration approach. In isolation manner, many things are happening in the country now. So we need kind of a very sound technical guidelines for cascade development as well. So I think Irrigation Department can take the lead of, I suggest actually, take the lead of that one as well. So we can work with Irrigation Department and other agencies. UNDP is pleased to work with other agencies as well to develop cascade development, very sound cascade development guideline as well. So in going forward, we trust Irrigation Department will share this new guideline with the academic agencies as well. So new engineers and technical people will be well aware about this new technical guidelines, actually improvements to the previous one. So we hope you will share this guideline, especially with the local universities. And in parallel, we are working with many other interventions, initiatives with the Irrigation Department, such as developing SOPs for Kalari River basins, and actually we are waiting for ADB reply. So we hope to continue our partnerships with all these agencies, and wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Many thanks to Engineer Ashoka Ajantha. Now, this updated guidelines will assist them to implement projects in technically, environmentally, and economically sound manner. They can also be used as training manuals or as training materials for the pre-service and in-service programs. Compliance with these guidelines will ensure us the sustainability of water resources infrastructure, a much valued national asset. Therefore, it's time to move towards the views by the leader of the Irrigation Department. I cordially invite the Director General of Irrigation, Engineer Nihal Siriwardana, to share his views and the future actions of the Irrigation Department regarding these updated guidelines.
Very good morning to you all. Dr. Ravinda Ponraja and Madam Ponraja, who is participating through the Zoom. Engineer Madhusudanan, Partha Manchanayaka, and then Nihal Fernando and other distinguished invitees through the Zoom. Badram Kamaladasa, Madam, former Director General of the Irrigation, and the technical team, and the project director of Vaugam Pubudua, Chandane Durusuriya, and UNDP engineer Asoka Ajanta, and Upali engineer Upali Imbulana, and the participants from the Irrigation Department, additional DGIs and directors, and the chief engineers, and those who are participating physically and through the virtual means. And Mr. Prema Kumar is attending from Northern Province, sorry, and Infotech officials and others. Today, that it is a very great movement for the Irrigation Department, because that we tried this exercise for the last 2-3 decades. So actually this was initiated, we tried to, this one initiated during my period of Additional Director General, that we found that, that a technical guideline which was prepared by the great late AGP Pondraja, Engineer AGP Pondraja, so that you know that last 4 decades, most of the technologies and the theories has been changed. According to that Mr. Pondraja's book, that we could not update the technical guidelines, so that we want to update this book for the future generations. This one also not the final version of this technical guideline. This one has to be again updated within the period of 2-3 decades. Otherwise, this is not the dynamic document. This is a static document. This is a dynamic document that we will have to change periodically. Otherwise, it will not valid for the present day contest. So that I hope that that is why that we wanted to make it updated. So that initial stage we did not thought about the gravity of this exercise. Initially we thought that it's easy task, we can go through this Mr. Pondraja's book and update to the present day present contest. But during these discussions, we had number of discussion with our officials and the experts in the water sector, and every sector we want to cover. So that we found that it is not an easy task to implement this one, so that luckily UNDP came forward and ready to assist, and the project director also assist us to complete this exercise. So that a selection of the consultants to prepare this is another task, so that we always believe about our capabilities, Irrigation Department capabilities. Luckily, we found that most capable group to do this exercise. So we must thanks for this group to have this task. So that finally we produce that instead of that one technical guidelines, finally it has become, finally we try to make it that investigation and the like our structure of the Irrigation Department, we try to prepare the technical license based on that structure. That means investigation part and the construction part and the maintenance part, like that. But finally we found that it is not easy. It will become that booklet will become a very huge one, so that the technical committee decided to have 7 books. Now that the technical part is already completed, now it is time to deliver these books to the necessary groups. So this is not the Irrigation Department booklet. This is that booklet which we are referring to the water sector, because that most of the booklet we can find that the textbooks we can find, but there is no significant booklet to refer for the young engineers to guide their day-to-day activities. That is why that the main purpose of this one. We hope to distribute this among the universities, that the technical colleges, and all the other stakeholder agencies who are interested about this water sector. So that those are the main target of ours. Then that as the main stakeholder of the water sector, it is our prime objective, is to our duty to give the guidelines for the water sector to maintain the uniformity among the agencies. Otherwise, you know, the number of agencies are mushrooming, number of demands are increasing, so that people tends to deliver their own guidelines and their own technical purpose. We want to uniform it, so that with these guidelines, I hope that everybody will go through this one and use their activities. That Mahaveli, either Mahaveli or Water Resource Development Authority or that Water Board, anybody can refer this one, and this is a very good booklet for them to guide the young engineers. Those are the major objective of this one. So that we hope that we have achieved our prime objectives, but we have to find some financial assistance to print this book. It will cost here immensely, but we want to make it that in a good manner. But though we have produced a very good technical guidelines or the text, so that the people will not refer, that we will have to present it in a proper manner, then only the people will refer these books. Otherwise, the people will keep it on a cupboard. So that we want to make it that print by the, anyhow, that I hope that we need millions of rupees to print these 500 copies, so that we will try. I think that Chandana also can help us because he has money now. Chandana Edurusuriya will help us to print at least 500 copies, so that otherwise that we will find that if Vaugampudi itself cover this total amount, so that we will have to get some support of other agencies too. These are the things that I want to discuss about this booklet, and that in this agenda they have said that the future of the irrigation department. That it is not time to discuss about the future of the irrigation department, that outgoing DGI. But it is good to mention something about the future of the irrigation department, because that we try to finalize a few things during the very short period, that we want to wanted to finalize the Irrigation Act. Now we are already at the final stage, that we submitted that our final version of this Irrigation Act yesterday, so that we are trying to finish that flood ordinance, that one also before 31st of this year. We will submit that flood ordinance final version, and we are working with the legal draftment to finalize this one. That other one is that gazetting of irrigation reservations, so that we have sent that one to the government press. I hope that it will publish very soon. Other one is that we will have to prepare two things. Other one is the irrigation policy, water policy for the Sri Lanka, so that our team is work hard to finalize this one. Then other one is that food security policy for Sri Lanka. That one also we discussed yesterday. If you can finalize that food security policy on Sri Lanka, that Mr. Prem Kumar and everybody participated. Very sorry to say that every other people or the organization has prepared their policies, except the irrigation department. We also think that others, that everybody that they have presented their printed form, environment, aquaculture, everybody, they are ready with their policies, except irrigation. So that because that irrigation sector is very complex sector, that we will have to contact all the other stakeholders, unlike other other policies. So that anyhow, that we hope that it will move and finalize that. Until that one, the food security policy will not be finalized. At least draft version we will have to agree to all the agencies, so that some of the items we will have to include in the food security national policy in Sri Lanka. That one also very, the number of agencies involving in that one we will have to play the major role, because our secretary is the chairman of this committee. So that those are the policy wise that we will have to attend to. Other one is that, you know, that we are facing number of challenges in the irrigation sector. You know, the demand for the irrigation is very high. The number of agencies trying to grab demarcate their peripheries, so that we will have to understand that our role, so that we will have to do most of the things, especially that providing drinking water facilities that the government has globally, and our government has identified that Samata Jale, under that theme, that we will have to provide that priority for the that one, water board, water supply for the domestic purposes, so that we will have to think about that one too. So that initially that during that last government, that we had very faced that unpleasant situations, so that anyhow, finally we decided to have very good dialogue with the water supply board, and now they have submitted their corporate plan. Now we are finding for their requirement. Now we have converted our duty as that their requirement has to be met by the irrigation department. That it is our duty, not allow to water board people to select their water resources. That we will have to, that if they want to find out the give water source, so that it is irrigation department duty to give the water source for them. Last I think 4-5 decades, we have given 100 intakes. We have approved the irrigation department. Some of them are not approved, but we have practiced that 100 intakes. But during the period of president meeting, Mr. Vasudev Nanayakara blamed us, until that irrigation department is there, they can't achieve this 98 target. So that they asked president to take over this all the rivers to the water board. That is their final version. Then I said, no, there is no problem like that. We are ready to give all the requirement. You plan your part, we will plan our plan. If it is planned, then you can look after your own things. So that during the last 1.5 years, we have given another 120 intakes. So that we don't think that we have any problem of providing the water resource requirement. So that is the prime objective, that our priority for this area. So that we are finding for them some of the latest our projects are dedicated for the water supply, not for the irrigation. Now, if we are designing or the planning for any project, irrigation project, the priority will be given to the water board. If that priority is met, then only that if there is any balance, then we are going to expand into the other sectors, either industries or the, agriculture or the industries. So that that priority has been maintained, so that the water board has identified that our policy, so that it is not there won't be any problem in the future. And that other development activities in Sri Lanka, that we have selected all the development we can undertake during next 5-6 decades, so that we put up a cabinet paper. I don't think that after completing those projects, there won't be any, you can find hardly any project for the future development. If we can fulfill that one, then our water resource development activities will be completed. Then after that, we will have to do the increase our efficiency. Otherwise, that we can't every day develop, say with the sake of the development, we can't degrade our forest. So that we will have to limit the development. Most of the items we have identified for the future developments. We have put the cabinet paper, so that the government has given approval. This time we have given the limited funds, so that gradually we will have to apply, do that projects, so that most of the project will be completed, and there won't be any further activities, development activities. It is very difficult to find places, because sometimes some places are developed, sometimes some places are covered by the thick jungles, so that we can't move any areas. So that the necessary identification of project has been done, so that we are preparing that master plan for the 2020 to 2030, but that way forward has already been finalized, so that we will have to prepare that next 2020-30 master plans. I think that UNDP also support us to finalize that, at least that we should have plan. That water sector, that water board, they have planned 2020-40. So that we will have to go with them their proposals, otherwise there will be a problem for irrigation departments too. Those are the things that we have undertake, that development wise, so that in addition to that, we will have to take some action on increase the efficiency of our system as well as the farm productivity, so that we will have started number of projects to improve that these things, so that we will have to think that way. Otherwise, there are some bare lands which we have we can't provide the gravity irrigation, so that we will have to think about to micro irrigation projects, so that we have submitted the cabinet approval. Other one is that flood forecasting, floods in Sri Lanka, so that we will have to get involved in that regarding this one. We have prepared the report to mitigate, that minimize that flood in Sri Lanka, so that we have submitted the we have explained to the Treasury regarding this requirement of this one. Otherwise, we are annually losing billions of rupees due to the flood. So that we hope that the government has given their concern to the improve that flood system, so that last 2021 we got 500 million to cater those issues. This year, they initially, because of this financial crisis, they couldn't put some amount for this one. But ultimately, we put another paper on budget proposal. That in that budget proposal, separate 500 million was allocated separately for this issue. So that we hope that those money only for, we are going to utilize for the wet zone sector from the Mahavir to Manikganga, so that we can solve some of the flood issues in these areas, especially Attanagaluoya, Kalaniganga, Kaluganga, Ginganga and Nilwalaganga. Those are the major areas that we will have to look into in future for the development of the mitigation of flood in Sri Lanka. Those are the things that if you take the future of the irrigation department, I don't know that how it accept the generation that we will have to aware the people and from the grassroots level to the top. That awareness is very much essential. That formation of the farm organization, that awareness is that people are trying to misuse the farm organizations, but we should aware them, and we want to give a better place for the farmers. So I hope that those are the things that if you talk about the future of the irrigation department, we will have to address those items near future within 1 or 2 decades. So those are the things that I want to highlight. Once again, I thanks. Finally, I want to tell you one thing. This book will not will not happen to anything happen to the dedication of this AGP Ponraja. This project is to dedicate the Mr. Ponraja's effort, so that we hope that respect for this book will be remain as we have done in the past. So finally, once again I thanks Mr. Ravindra Ponraja and Madam Ponraja for giving their waiting for this book launching ceremony. And once again, I thanks all the audience and everybody, and especially those who are the consultant and the Infotech and the UNDP, Vaugampubudu, and that our people also did very tireless work. So otherwise this book will not be come to this level. So that I thanks my staff also at this moment. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your views and the future actions. Actually, that was Herculean task in the recent past, a few months back. I can remember there were so many online meetings, even during the COVID pandemic era also. And as you said, sir, the uncertainty of the technical parameters, of the technical things in the world. Definitely, as the young engineers, we will have to update this again in the future decades also. However, this was discussed even during our undergraduate period also. I can remember the irrigation engineering lectures, the professors also questioned, why is this not updated like that? However, that is, we have understood now, and we can tell now that this is now updated, and this is the updated version. However, thank you very much for your views and the future action plan. Now it is time to go for the guest speech. As the existing guidelines had been prepared by Engineer Ponraja, sir, one of the outstanding engineers, both the department and the country, had during his career in a few decades back. Engineer Anthony James Princely Ponraja, who worked in the irrigation department during the period of 1950s to 1980s, has contributed to the further technical enhancement of irrigation department by writing several books, with technical guidelines, and most of them are still being used as the technical references, which have been updated now. And on behalf of the engineer Anthony James Princely Ponraja, sir, today the guest speech will be delivered by his son, Dr. Ranendra Ponraja. Sir, are you with us? Yes. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, thank you very much. I hope all of you can hear me, and a very good morning to all of you. And thank you so much for extending a warm invitation to me to be present in this most important event. Special thanks to excuse me, the former Director of Irrigation, Engineer Kamala Dasa, the present Director, Mr. Sirivardhana, and all the, and of course, I would like to mention the Additional Director of Irrigation, Engineer Janaki Migastena, for sending me the invitation, and all the other additional directors of irrigation, chief engineers, in fact, all members of the staff, for having me so warmly in this most important occasion. I feel so happy to be part of the irrigation family. Although I'm an electrical engineer, I feel so warmly embraced by the entire irrigation department in most of these important events that are conducted by the irrigation department. Now, this the updated technical guidelines is certainly an extension to the work that was done by my father, and I'm pretty sure he will undoubtedly acknowledge that he could not have done this all by himself. There are many in the irrigation department who have helped him in the past to compile these guidelines, and also he will be so grateful to those engineers who have taken the time to update the guidelines to suit the present needs of the country and the present requirements of the country to continue its development of the irrigation works. Engineer Sirivardhana did mention that these guidelines are no longer limited to irrigation department, and they are being extended to the rest of the water sector within the country, which is really a great thing. It's indeed a very great objective of the extension of this work, and also it was mentioned that this is a going concern, like this won't be the final revision to the technical guidelines. The guidelines will continue to get revised and re-revised so that it can be adapted to the changing needs of the country and of course the government directives. So all in all, everyone at the irrigation department, I would like to say thank you once again for having me and for asking me to be the guest speaker, and I really appreciate this warm invitation from all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ranendra Ponraja, sir, for your great valuable ideas about the engineer AJP Ponraja and the current revisions of this guideline. There's another person who has done a great contribute to the development or the updating of this booklet or the technical guidelines. He is none other less Engineer N. Madhusudanan. Sir, you are joining with us from Canada. You can see it. We can see you, and it is greatly appreciated his efforts during the compiling of this updated versions, and he had a great leading role during the compilation and during the updatings. And we hope to listen to you in the near future soon. And we are very much thankful for your great support during the designs and during all the ideas you have gathered to these developments in every aspect of the subjects. And thank you very much, sir. And it is very much pleasure for us to have you even at least on the online platform using Zoom. And as per the agenda, let's move to the next item. That is the consultancy team, or the presentations and the discussions by the former Director General of Irrigation, Engineer Badra Kamaladasa, regarding the consultancy team, the volumes of the guidelines, validation process, and the final remarks, followed by the presentations by the consultancy team. And she will explain about the achievements and the drawbacks, and all in all, the surroundings of this process. Former Director General of Irrigation, Engineer Badra Kamaladasa, the floor is for yours.
Thank you very much, Janaka. Hope you all can hear me. Dr. Ponraja and...
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Engineer Kamaladasa.
Thank you very much. Good morning and good evening to all of you joining us physically and also through the Zoom. Director General of Irrigation and all the distinguished invitees here. I don't have a formal presentation. I didn't prepare a formal presentation, but I just want to share my experiences throughout this activity, throughout this exercise, and give the podium to the members of the team, after giving my thoughts on as an overview of what we have done. So updating the irrigation guideline was a dream of many officers in the past, and I can remember a few instances that was attempted. One such instance was the project launches in 1988 on institutional strengthening of the irrigation department. In fact, under that project, former Director of Irrigation, Engineer KDP Pereira, Engineer KDP Pereira was recruited as a consultant to work on that. However, none of these attempts became a success. So I am happy to be here today to witness launching of not only the updated existing guidelines, but introducing additional 26 guidelines. We started this assignment on 15th November 2020, as mentioned by Janaki. Originally, it was a 9 months task. For the resource persons, it was a part-time engagement, counting for some consultants 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months like this for each of us. Then those who prepared the concept note for this project, they had estimated that 5 specialists with a team leader can attend in updating the 22 guidelines published by Engineer Ponraja within this time frame. That means within 9 months time frame. So on an average, one consultant was supposed to take up 3 or 4 maximum guidelines under their expertise, and then review the contents therein and incorporate the recent technological innovations to strengthen and update all according to the terms of reference given. So the 4 steps suggested in the process of the TOR were conducting a preparatory workshop, review of existing technical guidelines, updating the technical guidelines and producing the first draft. And once the comments are received from the review team that was appointed by the Director General of Irrigation within the Irrigation Department, and also if necessary from the other organizations, the first draft, then the final version has to be handed over once the consultants attend to the comments and then finalize the final draft. Hand over all the finalized guidelines after a validation workshop. That was our original plan. So that was that had to be happen within 9 months period. So at the inception workshop, I think most of you know that our team requested participants to give their comments over the existing guidelines. What are the outdated technical matters that to fix, and new technological innovations introduced to the guidelines to improve it, and so on. So however, more than the comments over them, a heap of requests for new guidelines were piled up. That happened to the amazement of most of us. So the team carefully, after receiving all these comments, we carefully scrutinized the written as well as verbal feedback, and also a lot of comments came through the emails, and also through the written request. And the team cluster all these comments into separating things into the improvements to new existing guidelines, and also identifying the new guidelines. So we saw that we have got nearly entirely new topics exceeding maybe 30 or 40 number of topics for the new guidelines. Anyway, we after agreeing with the Irrigation Department, after having a discussion again with the Irrigation Department, we set it upon for about 25 guidelines that came later on, compiling again few things together. So after having series of discussion with the team and the Irrigation Department officers, we started compiling this information. When you study the past guidelines, you can see the scope of the guidelines differ from each other, from one to the other. Some covers purely technical matters, technical stuff, and in some of them, and in some guidelines, only the departmental processes were mentioned. Those were elaborated on the departmental processes. There are some guidelines are there mixing both together. So, however, all the previous guidelines cover planning and design aspects of the water resources project mainly, only that aspect. So, but when we go through the new list, you can see in the new guidelines, you can see it covers a wide spectrum of subjects, starting from preliminary investigations up to the rehabilitation stage. Some entirely new functions assumed by the department, such as riverine management, Sojan technology, and many other new subjects were requested, and we were able to incorporate most of the requests made by the department during the inception workshop. Then this type of practical document cannot be prepared entirely by the outside resource persons, as mentioned by the DGI as well. The final product need to be like the manuals that officers can refer to. Whenever they want, whenever they need guidance on the issues coming up in performing their duties. So it is not a research paper or a chapter of a book that we have to produce. We realize that our team, but that need to be a set of rules prepared based on the practical experience faced by officers during the day-to-day activities in their workplace. So actually speaking, the guidelines are more meaningful if these are prepared by the practicing engineers, practicing officers by themselves. Unfortunately, because of the tight work program they are having, they don't have time for that. That is why Irrigation Department was looking for the outside, the resource person to support them. So luckily, all those involved in the exercise were all ex-irrigation officers, except Mr. Vijay Singh, Engineer Vijay Singh, who is the Director General of Government Factory now. But still practicing, all the consultants, resource persons are still practicing in the sector, having updated knowledge. So that is the beauty of it. The advantage of having the team together. So the support given by the officers in the department by sharing their recent experiences, filled any gaps what we would have missed as retired officers, and we could produce a set of guidelines that sufficiently covered the subject. While preparing the guidelines, our team not only tolerated and expanded originally accepted scope, but also extended time period. After preparation of the guidelines, DGI suggested to present these to the Irrigation Department staff to get the commitment, knowing that only few will take interest to read and comment. So we had 21 Zoom meetings. Minimum Zoom meeting was maybe 3 hours, but I can remember sometimes we had 2 sessions in one day, 3 hours, 4 hours, like that. So the actually Zoom time, if we calculate, it is more than 100 hours of time we spent together. We really enjoyed that. And DGI personally, I must mention here, DGI personally attended all these Zoom meetings and actively participated in the discussions, which I admire mostly. Yeah. In fact, on his request, we had to postpone some of the scheduled meetings as he was not so keen to take part this discussion. So we got a feedback from various officers saying that the series of during the Zoom meetings as well as after the meetings, and most of them told us it is like a refresher course for them, or in-service training for them during the COVID period time. They all got stuck at home, most of them. So luckily, we could get the full attendance as suggested by DG. Sometimes it is more than 50 officers who joined and gave us the comments. Before presenting the guidelines to the Irrigation Department staff, in fact, our team used to meet regularly. All the members present each and every of their draft guidelines to the team, within our team, and got the feedback. For all of us, it was a really mind-boggling exercise, I must say. Peer reviewing is especially important in this type of work as it adds a lot of value. Actually, I am involved in technical committees of International Commission of Large Dams in preparing dam safety guideline bulletins, where many dam experts all over the world get together to contribute. There are very hard arguments among themselves, disagreements sometimes, and sharing the country-specific case studies. Likewise, all these processes are going on that will finally contribute to a very rich technical outcome. So if you go through these publications that is available in Irrigation Department Library or Mahavali Library, you can see it is a very thank you. It contains very rich technical matters. So the branches and the divisions have to take in the department or their relevant guidance to prepare their guidelines out of these the guidelines what we have prepared, and expanding with the materials covered here with many more additional guidelines. It is not only that, in many of these guidelines we have introduced new practices to the department. For example, if I quote my own one guideline that is on dam safety generic guidelines, a risk-based new categorization of dams have been introduced. So once this guideline is accepted by the department, there is a huge challenge for the dam safety branch to carry forward these proposed practices in near future. Then the preparing of new guidelines like riverine management was a real challenge for us. Irrigation department has very limited experience over the past few years after establishing the new sub-department. So institutional experience and memories are very limited. It was a very great difficulty. The relevant materials were compiled. So likewise, I don't want to spend much time on elaborating on all these issues, but we have to see, I think all of you will realize and appreciate the hardships all of those people have gone, not only the consultants, even the review team, and also all the members, all the people who have given the comments and all the support. So I am humbly proud to be a member of the team of this historical exercise. For each and every sentence I included in the guidelines I prepared, I know that I am responsible. Even to get a confirmation for a certain small matter, I can remember from the we have to get the authentic from the source, from the authentic sources. So to get a small clarification from the survey department on their recent manual, I had to call maybe make calls, maybe more than 15 telephone calls, and go and meet the survey general physically twice. That is to get the confirmation of one single matter. So that is the way I think I don't want to mention each and everybody's name, but all the consultants were working hard to get the necessary information likewise. So I have very high regard for each and every consultant who has contributed to the assignments wholeheartedly. I should acknowledge the input by Engineer Vijay Singh, who is joining us today online. When no mechanical engineer in the department was willing to take up the challenge of preparing the mechanical guidelines, he accepted our invitation and joined the team, and he became one of the irrigation department member while working with our team. And updating the technical bulletin of irrigation, design of irrigation headworks for small catchment is another remarkable achievement I must mention here. We all got through this exercise. So it was a long felt need, but no one wanted to accept that challenge. Engineer Shanmuga Sivanandan, with the support of Mrs. Prema Hettiarachchi, finally made it with the immense support given by the Director Hydrology and Disaster Management, Engineer Sugishwara and his staff, and this would not have been materialized without your support, I must mention here. So I express my gratitude to all of them, especially for the design, for planning and design, the director, chief engineers from the planning and design sub-department, and it will take a long time for me to, if I list out those who contributed from the department. So the head of the consultancy firm was ironically a former irrigation secretary to the irrigation ministry, Engineer Sisru Kumara, who absorbed all the additional cost incurred due to the doubling the scope of work. Even though he is not here today, I greatly appreciate, I think his representative Tilini is here, and encouragement given to the team. He did not close the door after 9 months assignment as usually done by maybe the foreign consultants, but continued to receive the comments coming from the irrigation department until last month. So same as of the resource persons, all the resource persons, even our contractual agreement was over about 1 year back. We continue to receive feedback and continuing to update the guidelines. Infotech staff headed by Tilini, who is here with us today, had to edit and format these huge volumes many times. I don't know whether Mr. Ponraj, Dr. Ponraj and Mr. Madhusudanan can see the volumes. Can someone bring it and keep the here? No.
Oh my, yes, it's a large volume.
Yeah.
It's a large collection. Oh my goodness, yeah.
That's right.
Quite large.
Yeah. So, as mentioned by DGI, we had to split into 7 volumes with all these things. I think anyone who is having experience on formatting and finalizing such a tedious exercise, it's a very tedious exercise. So I must thank the Infotech staff headed by Tilini for finalizing all these things with all the hardships, getting all the corrections day by day. So we all know that this was spearheaded by Mr. Imbulana from the UNDP side, and project manager engineer Ajanta, and project director Mr. Chandra Edrisuri, and all the staff. And I must thank all of them for their continuous support given and encouragement to the team. Engineer Janaki Migastana, yeah, my inbox is full, Janaki, with more than, I think, 500 mails, I think, emails you sent to me on guidelines only. So most of them are posted in midnight, I noticed. So I hope after today I can delete most of them, because the Google will, they will charge to my exceeded capacity. I admire and appreciate your dedication paid to this assignment amidst all your routine functions. Thank you very much, Janaki. So it is, it was a continuing exercise to all the team members up till today. From today onwards, it is the responsibility of the in-house staff, Irrigation Department staff. You will realize documents of this nature is not a static, as mentioned by DGI, but it is a dynamic one. If it is become, if it is become a usable, practical document. So I suggest that it should become a normal duty of the officers to update or introduce the guidelines continuously. Through that type of involvement, only the department can become a pioneer professional institute in the water sector. That is the lesson we learned from our previous generation, and also confirmed through this exercise. Hope that current officers in the department will continue that tradition by documenting the valuable information. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much joining again Dr. Ponraja, and also Dr. Madhusudanan, Mr. Madhusudanan from overseas. We were very happy to associate with you all. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, madam, for your valuable speech. And it's time that all of us were aching for, and the time is okay for us to celebrate that occasion, which will be formally presented the printed books in the printed formats. And even though there are 7 sections or 7 sections in the updated technical guidelines, 3 of them are ready in the printed version. I cordially invite the leader of this team and the former Director General of Irrigation, Engineer Badra Kamaladasa, to present the 3 of those books. I will read the names one by one. To present to the Director General of Irrigation, Engineer Nihal Sirivardhana, sir. First, the volume number 2, that will be in the order. Volume number 2, hydrological aspects in design of irrigation headworks for small catchments up to 50 square kilometers. This is the occasion that the formally presented to the Director General of Irrigation, symbolizing the 7 chapters. The next one, volume number 5, land, irrigation, waterways and management. The volume number 7, mechanical components of the irrigation schemes. Three books were presented to the Director General of Irrigation, symbolizing all the 7 chapters.